City are back in Champions League action facing Slovan Bratislava away from home. A first. This is a first. We've never faced Bratislava in our history. So I'm looking forward to this one. Looking at the history of Bratislava and the current form of Bratislava. Manchester City's current form isn't great on paper, but you need to factor in who we've faced in those results. But ultimately, this looks like the perfect game for Manchester City to gather some momentum, regain some confidence and score a bag full of goals. I'm expecting an absolute bag full for Manchester City. So come and join me for the watch along. It's going to be a nice chilled one. I'm really looking forward to this one because I feel like it's going to be a nice chilled game for City. We get to sit back, see what the operations are going to be in that midfield without Rodri. What are the solutions that Pep Guardiola is going to take to the field for Manchester City? Because I feel like this game is the perfect game to rotate a couple of players. I still think he's going to go incredibly strong, but to experiment a little bit with that midfield, get certain players minutes and confidence that they are in dire need of. In particular in that midfield, you're thinking Gundogan, who had a poor game. Phil Foden needs some minutes. I think John Stones needs some minutes. I want to see a combination of Savinho and Doku getting the pistons firing for Manchester City. I don't know why I'm doing that. It looks a bit suspicious, doesn't it? But ultimately, we should be battering them. Transfer market value of the two sides. Manchester City right now are currently valued on transfer market just over £1 billion in total team value for each player added together, going up against a combined total team value of 24 million. You know, that's not, I mean, that's going to buy you Anthony, Man United's Anthony's left bollock. That's what that'll buy you, to be honest. So we should be winning. Let's get it straight. We should be winning, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know how to beat Bratislava because I know absolutely nothing. I mean, I doubt. Without going to Google, I question if anyone has the ability to even name another Slovakian football team. Not a player, just a football team. Name someone in I think there's 12 in their league. Name one other team without going to Google that isn't Slovan Bratislava. You haven't got a clue, have you? Don't pretend you do. No one has a clue, you know? We don't know who we're going up against, so let's not pretend we do. But they are looking to become the first side to get into the knockout stages. Slovakian side, they've never reached a knockout stage, and they could argue that they've got a better chance than before with 8 fixtures to play before we go into that. They're currently sat 34th. That's right, 34th in the Champions League table as it stands, having already faced Celtic away from home. And they got an absolute beating. So Celtic are putting 5 past Bratislava. I know we're away from home, so there might be a bit of a toxic atmosphere for Manchester City players to deal with. The facilities, I imagine, are probably not quite to the standards of the Etihad. I would guess that as well. So I feel like the atmosphere, the environment might play a part. But once you're on the pitch, you're playing a game of football against 11 other human beings that I feel are 11 human beings, should absolutely beat the living shit out of Bratislava, to be honest. And I have a good feeling that we're going to see some goals. And make no mistake, it's Champions League football, so let's not disrespect them too much because I feel like the occasion can get to some players' heads, and the lack of respect for the opposition can also play a part. And I don't think City players will be allowed to do that with Pep Guardiola as the manager. So I'm hoping we can go into this game now full of confidence, or at least seeking to build some more confidence, because, like I said, we've drawn 3 out of the last 4 games, but make no mistake, those fixtures in those games need to be adding context to those draws, because, I mean, Inter Milan, I think they're ranked 3rd as the best team in Europe right now, according to Opta's overall rankings, which factors in everything you can possibly imagine. So they're currently ranked 3rd. City are ranked top. Real Madrid 2nd. And Inter Milan 3rd. Arsenal, we faced them at home. They're ranked 4th right now. So we've gone up against out 2 of the top 4 sides in Europe right now, and we've drawn. We haven't lost either of those games. So I don't think that's that bad. You know, and I feel like the explosion of emotion that came out from City fans, I mean, I was riled up after the Newcastle game, of course I was, and I feel like every City fan has the right to feel the emotion straight after a game, but now the dust has settled, you start to put things into perspective a little bit and recognise that Manchester City is still in a very, very strong position, albeit the future is a little harder to predict now because we haven't got a Rodri for the whole season, so we need to almost stop talking about that now. And we're making excuses for ourselves. We'll talk about at the end of the season whether we missed him or not. We can't go through game on, game in and just keep talking about Rodri. Oh, we dropped points today. We missed Rodri today. We missed Rodri. Move on. Let's move on now. Let's crack on with it. So I don't really want to talk about Rodri anymore, with all due respect to Rodri, unless I'm talking about him picking up a Ballon d'Or. That's the next time I want to talk about Rodri, to be honest. But we have to plan for life without you-know-who. And what we're going to do in that midfield now, because he's been such a main staple for Manchester City's midfield. Kovacic didn't have a bad game against Newcastle, but I felt like there was errors in his game, and positionally a little bit. I felt like he was partly to blame for the Newcastle goal. I think the most of the responsibility falls on Walker in that situation, but I think Gundogan and Rico together, there was a combination of 4 players there that could have helped prevent Newcastle's equaliser to even give Gordon that chance to go through on goals. So they're the sort of situations that Rodri just he's just switched on, knows exactly what to do. And this is the perfect game to do it. Bratislava, away from home. It'll be a test environmentally, but on the pitch we should be battering them. I mean, like I said, I know very little about Bratislava, other than Vladimir Weiss, by the way. That's a name blast from the past there for Manchester City fans to get all nostalgic about. He never really did anything at Manchester City. He was a very promising player, looked good. He was a bit of an eye catcher, wasn't he? A dribbling sensation sort of player, But he's 34 years old right now, currently playing on the left wing for Bratislava. Manager, of course, is his dad, who is also called Vladimir Weiss. So he thinks pretty highly of himself as well, calling him his son the exact same name. Like, it's been done. And I just question if you've got a screw loose if you're calling your son the exact same name as you. I just feel like you're not quite right there, mate, are you? There's something odd about you. I don't know. Anyway, father Vladimir Weiss, manager of Slovan Bratislava, probably will field Vladimir Weiss, his son. That is the same name, of course. It's ridiculous. But yeah, we're 20th in the table, looking to get out of those playoff spots in the Champions League table. But obviously we've only played 1 game, so it's kind of pointless even looking at that table. But let's have a look at the predicted starting 11. I'm not going to do Bratislava, to be honest. I feel like it's a complete waste of time. I'm also going to introduce some, look at that, nice little pretty faces there, rather than little blobs, actual people on the screen for you there. So there's Edison. I put him in net. We could see Ortega, to be honest. I just feel like Pep doesn't rotate in the Champions League. He takes every fixture in the Champions League very, very seriously. But like I said, you got £1 billion worth of players going up against a combined value of £24 million. So I feel like there is available options for Pep, but I still think he's going to go very, very strong with the starting 11 for Manchester City, because not only is it a Champions League game, it's an opportunity to gain momentum and gain confidence, and there's certain players that are just playing below their standards at the minute for Manchester City. And I feel like they need to get on a football pitch and play a competitive match of football to increase their form right now. Namely, Phil Foden is the one man that springs to mind. We need to see him really elevate his game. And he came on against Newcastle and did all right. He did okay. I think we took control of the game a little bit better when he was in that midfield. But still, you want to see more from last season's player of the season. But let's put the starting 11. I'm going to go with Manuel, who's getting so many minutes, you could argue he could be rotated. But in that position there, you could either play Kyle Walker, who has just played 3 games in 6 days, so I feel like he will need a rest. Akanji just seems to have a never-ending engine, so I would keep playing him, but be careful, don't overdo it. Let's consider some minutes. He needs to be rotated at some point, so we'll have to wait and see when that opportunity could be. But with the fact that Kyle Walker's played so many minutes lately, I would rather see Akanji in there right now. I'm not going to play Ruben Diaz. I feel like he deserves a rest, and I feel like, not that he deserves a rest, more that John Stones deserves to play. I want to see John Stones play, but I don't think he's going to play in that midfield just yet. I feel like he might play as an out-and-out defender, as the central centre-back of the back three for Manchester City. I'm still going to play Josko Gvardiol again. People will be saying, no, you got to rotate. It's Bratislava. It's the Champions League. You have to remember that. I'm going to go with Rico in the middle and Kovacic alongside him. So I'm going to put them up in their positions because they're taking up a lot of the screen with their big old faces, aren't they? So I'm going to dominate the picture. Seeing as I'm not putting any Bratislava players on, I might as well fill up the screen with something. I'm going to play Gundogan. He had a stinker against Newcastle, which is precisely the reason I'm going to play him. Because he needs to improve. He needs to get momentum. He needs to regain that Ilkay Gundogan confidence that we all know he's got. That talent's not disappeared overnight. You know, there may be a few little cracks in his armour at the minute, like he's not playing to the heights of his his ability that we're familiar with as City fans, and that's the exact reason for why I think he needs to play in this game. And I also say the same about Felipe, so I'm going to put him in midfield for Manchester City. Haaland was pictured in training for Manchester City recently, and there was doubts over that after his sort of little gash on the back of his Achilles after he'd spun Dan Burn on the halfway line with some great hold-up play, but that resulted in an injury, and he limped out of St James's Park. There was a video of him limping, and there was some concerns over his injury, and that's the last player we can afford to lose right now. With De Bruyne also injured, and Rodri, and Ake, and Oscar Bob, you lose Haaland, and it's like, mate, it's just not going our way at all this season at the minute, is it? But he's fit, he was playing, and he was playing well in training from the clips I've seen, so I'm going to put Erling Haaland again up top. You could see a Phil Foden false nine. I wouldn't be surprised to see Foden play this game up front, again, looking for that minutes and confidence, and I'd be happy with that. But it's Champions League. I don't think Haaland would be happy knowing there's a Champions League fixture like this. This is the sort of fixture where he could get 6. Do you know what I mean? He could go and get a double hat-trick in this game. And he'll know that, Erling Haaland. He will be telling Pep Guardiola, you better play me here because I love this competition and I want those numbers, mate. And he's obsessed with it, isn't he? So I feel like Haaland will be demanding to play in this game. I'm going to go with Doku again. Needs momentum, needs more minutes. Played 45 minutes in the first half against Watford. Came on for 9 minutes against Newcastle. Flattered to deceive, in all honesty, but he played very well in that first half against Watford. I want to see more of that from Jeremy Doku. Get his confidence up and running. Savinho, on the other side, that's what I want to see. I want to see more confidence and more minutes for these players that are just... Savinho's not got a goal yet. He's got himself a couple of assists, but I would like to see Doku get himself a 2 or 3 assists in this game. Same for Savinho. This is the opportunity to win this game 5 or 6, maybe 7. You know, really, we should be absolutely battering Slovan Bratislava. We should be taking them to the cleaners, you know? And free of charge as well. We shouldn't even be paying for the cleaners. You know what I mean? We should be absolutely taking them, wiping the floor with them. You know, we really should be. And I'm very excited for the game. I'm excited for City to score a bag full of goals. And I think we will. Come and join me for the watch along. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a nice chilled one where we get to sit back, relax. We'll get some snacks. We'll have a few chat about random bits and bobs about Manchester City's future season coming up, as well as witness Manchester City hopefully score 5 or 6 goals, and that'd be pretty nice. End up in a pretty nice evening for Manchester City fans. So come and join me for that one. Get your predictions in the comments below. I'm going to go 5-0 Manchester City. What are your predictions? Get them in the comments below. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up Silver.